He only expected loyalty from those closest to him. If you mess up, you get a fresh start. But what does he get? His best friend brutally attacks his family. Just as he's about to finish them off, he not only rescues his family but also delivers a harsh revenge on his former friend, making him pay dearly for his betrayal. The stakes have never been higher, with intense action and emotional turmoil. Welcome back to Nacho Movie Recap. I consider you my best friend and would really appreciate your feedback on my content. The film begins a decade ago in the middle of a high-stakes hostage crisis. Inside, a man has lost control. He's already shot a police officer and is now holding his own family at gunpoint, turning the situation into a twisted version of Thanksgiving dinner. He demands the police back off, threatening further violence. Meanwhile, an FBI team led by Will Sawyer is making its way in from the rear. He looks like he stepped straight out of a Call of Duty game, fully equipped and ready for a fierce confrontation. They're rehearsing for the next Mission Impossible. Will and his crew break in and save most of the family, but the man grabs one of his sons. Will tries to reason with him, but the dude's all, "Nope, not today," and triggers a bomb strapped to his chest like it's a surprise party gone horribly. Boom, Will's thrown into the hospital and loses a leg. Talk about a bad day at work. Fast forward 10 years. And we're in Hong Kong now. Turns out there's this billionaire, Zhao Longji, who's building the fanciest, most over-the-top skyscraper you can imagine called the Pearl. It's supposed to be the world's tallest building because why not? Will's no longer dodging bullets. He's now a security consultant living in the Pearl with his wife Sarah and their twins, Henry and Georgia. As Will's getting ready for an important meeting with Zhao, Sarah walks in, complimenting him. "You look great. You've been prepping for 6 months. You've got this." Spoiler alert, he does not got this. They head to the elevators and run into Will's old FBI buddy Ben, who like Will got banged up in that explosion years ago. Ben's like, "Hey man, let me show you this ridiculously fancy penthouse that probably costs more than both our lives combined." Will's jaw drops when he sees the place, and he thanks Ben for hooking him up with the gig. Ben, all cool, is like a no big deal, just doing my bro is solid. They meet Zhao, who knows more about Will than Will probably knows about himself. He's like, "So, how's Sarah, the ex-Navy surgeon, and the twins? Enjoying your stay?" It's kinda creepy, but rich people always have to flex their Google search skills, right? Next up, Will meets Ani, the head of security, and Pierce, some insurance guy waiting to hear if the building is up to snuff. Will presents his findings, saying everything looks good, except the off-site facility still needs checking out. Zhao, feeling generous, gives Will exclusive access to the building's fire and safety controls. As Will tucks away the tablet that controls the building, we catch Ben acting shady. Turns out he's on the phone with some mysterious person, confirming that Will has a tablet. Drama alert. Later, Zhao takes Will to this trippy room full of mirrors, where the walls literally make you invisible. Zhao calls it heaven, but it's basically the world's most expensive funhouse. Will's probably thinking, this is cool and all, but how about a room where I don't lose my leg? Will and Ben head out for a ferry ride, chatting about the good old FBI days. Suddenly, some random guy slashes Will's bag and takes off. Ben runs after him like he's trying to catch the ice cream truck, but comes back empty-handed. Meanwhile, in the Pearl's basement, a tech guy finds a crack in the wall. He's like, and no big deal, until the wall collapses, revealing a group of terrorists. One of them, Bota, grabs the poor guy and takes him out. Because of course, bad guys can't resist the choke out the innocent technician. Meanwhile, back in Ben's apartment, Will is about to head out when Ben whips out a gun, demanding the tablet. Will's like, "Really dude, we're doing this." They fight and things get wild. Will even loses his prosthetic leg at one point, which is like insult to injury. They brawl until Ben gets shot, and as he's dying, Will tries to help him, saying, "Bro, what's going on?" Ben, barely holding on, is like, "Sarah and the kids weren't supposed to be home." Then he dies, leaving Will thinking, well, this friendship took a weird turn. Meanwhile, Bota and his team are up to no good, spreading chemicals on the 96th floor to start a fire. These guys clearly skipped the how to not be evil class. Zhao is at worry though. He's like, "No biggie, I'm 100 floors up." Classic rich guy attitude. Will looks outside and sees the Pearl on fire. He's about to leave when a group of armed men ambush him. He somehow escapes, but not before getting tasered by a woman who takes the tablet from him. Just as she's about to finish him off, the cops show up, letting Will slip away. The woman jumps into a Jeep like it's Fast and Furious, and Will, on one leg, chases her. Realizing he can't outrun a car, he borrows a police bike and speeds off. Back in the building, Sarah and the kids are trapped above the 96th. Sarah, being the boss mom she is, makes sure they're ready to face the fire. Henry's worried they're gonna die, but Sarah's like, "We're good. I've seen worse." The fire spreads and Bota sends Zia, the hacker, to shut down the building's safety systems. Meanwhile, Will makes a daring climb on the outside of the building to try and save his family, proving that even with one leg, he's way more badass than anyone else in this As the fire rages and the cops think Will's the bad guy, he's just trying to get to the top of the building. Zhao finally realizes the situation is out of control and decides to evacuate, but not before grabbing something from a secret safe. Will's mission? Save his family, stop the terrorists, and not get caught by the police, all while climbing the world's tallest building. No pressure, right? Will decides to extend a crane toward the building. Unfortunately, it's not quite long enough, so he gets creative. He swings the crane's hook, smashing it into the building. Then, like some kind of superhero, Will climbs onto the top of the crane. But before he can make his next move, the cops show up, cutting through his barricade and aiming guns at him. Not one to stick around, Will suddenly makes a run. He sprints toward the building and takes a massive leap, barely catching himself before he could plunge to his doom. Meanwhile, everyone glued to the broadcast is cheering him on like he just won the Super Bowl. Meanwhile, Zhao, Ani, and Mr. Pierce, along with his men, head toward the helicopter. Ani realizes something's off when she notices the guy in the chopper isn't their pilot. That's when Pierce pulls out a gun and opens fire. Bota and his crew ambush them too, turning it into a full-blown shootout. It doesn't take long for Bota to wipe out all of Zhao's men, leaving Zhao standing alone. Then, just to twist the knife, Bota reveals that Pierce was in on it the whole time. Bota explains that the people he's working for want both Zhao and his little data drive. Ani, barely conscious, manages to shoot the pilot, sending the helicopter crashing down in a fiery explosion. Zhao, on the other hand, takes advantage of the chaos and makes a quick escape, even while being shot at by Bota. He barely manages to lock himself in his panic room. Bota tries to get his hacker, Zia, to crack open the door, but she soon realizes the penthouse has its own security system. Will's still inside the building, but he's in rough shape. He's got a chunk of metal stuck in his chest. After gathering some supplies, he painfully yanks it out and patches up his wound with a bit of tape. He checks the security monitors, planning a way to reach Sarah. Armed with an axe, he sets off. Meanwhile, Sarah and the kids are battling the smoke heat, trying to make it out. That's when they bump into Mr. Pierce. He grabs Sarah and orders the kids to follow, but Sarah, ever the fighter, stabs him in the leg with scissors, giving the twins a chance to bolt. She tries to run to the kids, but debris blocks her path. Sarah is held at gunpoint by Pierce, who's ready to kill her for what she did, but Will shows up just in time, shoving Pierce over the destroyed bridge. In relief, Sarah and Will hug. Henry arrives on the other side of the broken bridge and points out Georgia by the waterfall. Will quickly sets up a plank for Sarah to get across, but as they head back, she slips. Luckily, she manages to pull both herself and Henry up, getting them to safety. Now, Will has to figure out how to get Sarah and Henry out of the building. With the magnetic elevators only working below the 96th floor, he comes up with a plan to send the elevator free falling through the fire until the magnets kick. Meanwhile, two mercenaries come across Georgia, who starts screaming for Will. She runs into the boiler room, trying to escape, but they're right on her trail. Just when they're about to find her, Will swoops in, taking them down and saving the day. Unfortunately, Bota shows up, holding him at gunpoint. Bota and his crew drag Will and Georgia to the penthouse door, demanding that Will open it. Will explains it's not possible, but Bota insists anything's possible with the right motivation. To drive the point home, they grab Georgia, threaten to throw her off. They rough Will up and drag Georgia away, leaving Will beaten and helpless. But then, Will sees on the news that Sarah and Henry have made it out safe, giving him the motivation to keep going. Will locates an external security panel for Zhao's penthouse, which can only be accessed from outside the... Meanwhile, Sarah and Henry are taken to Inspector Wu, who clears Will's name and shares information about the mercenaries. Will uses a relic to smash the thick windows, then uses ropes to anchor himself and starts climbing the exterior of the building. He takes his hands to the glass for grip, then rappels down past massive turbines, narrowly avoiding disaster. He manages to reactivate the system, opening the penthouse. He slips but grabs on just in time, pulling himself back inside to the relief of Sarah and the cheering crowd. Zhao tries to close the penthouse doors, but Will blocks them with his prosthetic leg, slipping inside. Zhao holds a gun to his head, but Will easily disarms him. Zhao admits that Bota blackmailed him during the $6 billion construction project, threatening his workforce. However, Zhao kept a detailed record of the transaction's insurance. Will brings Zhao to the roof of the building, where Bota and his men are preparing to escape. Will shows Bota the drive, offering to trade it in Zhao for his daughter, Georgia. In a surprising move, Zhao grabs the drive and tosses it over the side of the building, creating a distraction. This allows Georgia to make her escape. The trio then run into the high-tech projector room, with Bota and his mercenaries in pursuit. In the disorienting room, filled with multiple projected images, Zhao kills one of the attackers while Wu ambushes and defeats 2 more. Bota opens fire on them and rushes after her. Meanwhile, Inspector Wu and his officers track down the location where Bota plans to land. Z, formerly Zia, is waiting with her mercenaries and engages the cops in a fierce shootout. Z nearly takes out Wu, but Sarah intervenes, attacking Z. The 2 women fight, and Z gains the upper hand, nearly strangling Sarah, until Wu holds her at gunpoint, saving her. During the fight, Zhao is shot but urges Wu to go after Georgia. Wu grabs a gun and eventually confronts Bota, who is holding Georgia hostage with a grenade. Bota orders Wu to drop his gun, and Wu complies. But in a clever move, Wu sneaks behind Bota and kicks him off the building, killing it. With Bota gone, Will and Georgia are trapped as the flames close in around them. Will holds Georgia tightly, reassuring her of his love as they brace for the worst. Just in time, Sarah uses a tablet she took from Z to reboot the building's security systems. Thanks for watching Nacho's movie recaps. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, and hit the bell for updates. Share your thoughts or requests in the comments below. See you next time.